This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there, it's Jeff Cutter. I welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe on this date. On this day, November 24th, in the year 1996, one of the greatest Grey Cups of all time happened. It's not the greatest Grey Cup of all time. Some say 87s and 91s were better. Anyway, it was a tight game. You had the Toronto Argonauts, who managed to finagle Doug Flutie from Calgary after Flutie led Calgary to the 95 Grey Cup and a loss to Baltimore. And Toronto started a great turnaround to a 15-3 regular season and beating the title of the Alouettes in the Eastern Final. Edmonton was 11-7 in the regular season. Edmonton had to go through the playoff. They had to face Winnipeg in the semifinal, Western semifinal. They went to Calgary and narrowly beat them to go to the Grey Cup. It would have been weird to see Doug Flutie taking on his former club in his first season away from the Stamps. But no, it was Edmonton. In fact, there were some financial issues with the game. Tim Hortons actually had to step in and make the money needed to pay both teams' wages. So that was weird. Anyway, CBC and ESPN2 would broadcast this game. CBC had the great Chris Cuthbert with Glenn Suter in the booth, whereas ESPN2 had Gordon Miller with Danny Kepley. It was weird how ESPN took a shining to the Grey Cup. But anyway, the Argos and the Eskies were playing tooth and nail. The first quarter saw Edmonton jump out to a 9-0 lead. After a botched play by the Argos, they had to concede 2 points. And then came the famous McManus to Brown pass that Eddie Brown somehow had the ball drop from his hands, and then he managed to kick it up with his foot and bring it back with his hands, and in stride run past the defender for a 64-yard touchdown, making it 9-0 Edmonton. It was one of the best catches around. The Argos would come storming back, though, in the second quarter. After Jimmy the Jet Cunningham had a punt return of 80 yards, Toronto had taken a 10-9 lead. After a field goal by Toronto, Danny McManus passed to Jim Sandusky for a 75-yard play. Sandusky, part of the 93 Eskimos team that went to the Grey Cup. The last time Edmonton went to the Grey Cup, did his job. And Edmonton looked good. But then a little bit later, Robert Drummond with a touchdown run, Toronto looked good. But then Edmonton came back 15 seconds later on a Gizmo Williams, one of the best punt returners, I should say, in CFL history, doing kick return for 91 yards through the snow of Hamilton. Did I mention that there was a ton of snow in Hamilton in this game? No, I didn't. But of course, he went for a touchdown, and Edmonton, in a sense, took back the lead. Gizmo Williams was actually known for his backflip when he did a touchdown, but then because, it's snowing, he just took a bow. However, Doug Flutie ran for a touchdown, and at the half, it was 27-23 Toronto, and the snow kept on falling. At halftime, the Nylons played. Of course, why am I mentioning the halftime show was because, How I Met Your Mother did an episode in 2013 in which, Robin Sparkles actually sang at the Grey Cup halftime show, but she ended up being Robin Daggers, her grunge persona that moved her to the States, and all that. But yeah, it was funny. It was funny that they got the city right, obviously, Hamilton being near Guelph, so they got the geography correct and all that. And they interviewed some Canadians, some famous Canadians. Katie Lang, Jason Priestley, R.I.P., Dave Collier, Alex Trebek, Stephen Page from the Bare Naked Ladies. Well, doesn't matter. So yeah, it was huge and all that. The teams had 41 points. Yeah, they had minus 10 Celsius and heavy snow. The Eskimos, the first quarter and a half of the second half only saw 10 points. That was by Toronto. Mike Vanderjagt put up 2 field goals. Edmonton came back with a touchdown by Corey Blunt, and then Mike Vanderjagt kicked a field goal to make it that way. And then 12 seconds later, a terrible pass from McManus right to Adrian Smith, and he went in for a touchdown. Of course, well, actually, I forgot to say that there was controversy because Flutie, in the play that saw Vanderjagt kick the field goal, make it 36-30. It was controversial because they thought that Flutie fumbled the snap and lost the ball, but he retained possession and got the first down on third down. Remember, in Canada, you only get 3 downs for a first down, not 4. So Adrian Smith did his job. McManus did throw a touchdown pass with 9 seconds left in the game, make it 43-37. But they missed the onside kick, and Toronto ran out the clock. Final score 43-37, one of the highest scoring Grey Cups of all time. It's not the highest scoring Grey Cup of all time, because if memory serves me correctly, Saski against Hamilton in 1989 had 83 points combined. But yeah, it was one of the craziest Grey Cups of all time through the snow, and Doug Flutie was good for the Argos, and they finally got back on top of the mountain, if you will. The Argos were going to win the 97 Grey Cup before faltering, mostly because of Doug Flutie's move to the NFL, a move that so ticked me off I decided to stop being an Argos fan and be an Alouettes fan, which I have been ever since. I've been chastised for it, but, it doesn't matter. It is what it is, and that's all that is. So, yes, what a Grey Cup it sure was. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.